Bhaktim Vyasam Tato Jayodhira Nashna Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagati Uttamashuki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Nigamal Kapalurgaritam Param Shukamukaramita Gavisamitam Pibata Bhagatam Rasamaryam Mohora Hora Sikububi Bhavakaham Krishna Swadamapagate Damigina Karonashta Drishamasha Padana Kodunotidam Tamapiyadabhishuta Bishutam Vibu Samapiyadena Virambare Uksharam Prakyahitu Hormaram Sanklesha Nirvanam Usanti Nanyataham Anartamashamam Shakshad Bhakyogam Lokashitana Chakra Satpadasamitam Om Aganatimananda Syanganana Sanakya Chaksurin Meditam Yanatashmai Sri Guruvedma Sri Chaitanya Manubishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutare Swayam Rupakaramayam Darachi Swapanadikam Vandeham Sri Guru Siyata Parakamanam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagadatam Sahaganadaganatam Vitam Stam Sadevam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganadharita Shri Vishikan Vitam Sham Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutare Shrimati Bhakti Parata Shami Tunamani Muste Sarasati Deva Gurvari Pachare Nirvishesa Sanyavadi Praskata De Sadhani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vindham Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare An elite group today of two, Rob on Zoom and Brent on Facebook thus far for Wisdom Wednesday. Our topic today is Gajendra not pointing fingers. He didn't blame the crocodile. He could have thought, oh man, I had everything just the way I wanted it. All my dots lined up, all the T's crossed. Everything was good. I was looking good. I was feeling good. Life is good. Why? Why did this have to happen? Why? Why? Well, I'll tell you why, because that's the nature of the material world. Material world is not meant for your comfort or convenience. Material world is not created so that things go our way. Actually, ultimately, our way is Krishna's way, but we don't realize that. The souls who come to this material world are illusion. They prefer to go their own independent path rather than to follow the guidance, instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so when you do that, when you deviate from the cause of all causes, the creator of the universe, then you don't come to a good end. It's just like in the state. There are laws. You may not agree with the law. You may think that it might be better to drive on the left-hand side of the road than the right-hand side of the road. You may even have good reasons why that's superior. It may even be superior, but there is a problem. That is that the highest authority, the supreme authority, the Congress, ratified by the president, has declared since a long time ago that everyone drive on the right-hand side of the road. So no matter what advantages you see, and you may be more intelligent, you may have a higher IQ, you may have more experience in a lot of ways, you may even be right, that it would be safer. It is safer in countries where they drive on the left-hand side of the road, like India, although that doesn't really seem very plausible if you've ever driven in India, or Britain, for instance. But the problem is that the government has decided that everyone should drive on the right side of the road. So by following what the government has ordained is going to be the safest course for you. Doesn't matter what the advantages might be to driving the left-hand side of the road. If you do it, you won't even drive for 30 seconds without causing pain, injury, and suffering, both to yourself and others. Dharmantu shakshad bhagavat pranitam navaya vidurisha nasira rupam kudas navidudara charaya. Doesn't matter how intelligent you are, how insightful you are, how creative you are, how pious you are, how much you know. Nobody can establish the rules by which the universe runs except the creator of the universe himself, Ishvara Parama Krishna. That supreme ruler who has no other ruler. Wherever the buck stops, whoever created it and by whose will the sun rises and sets, the seasons change, the flowers bloom, stars spring nightly to the sky, it is by that person's will that everything goes. And because he's a loving Father, because he's created all of us, he wants only the best. And he knows better than us what is the best. The parent, the father, the mother know better than the child what's good for the child. The child may think it knows better, but it doesn't. And even if, for argument's sake, the child does have a better plan, does have a better procedure than what the parent's suggesting, nevertheless, because the child is living in the home which the parents built, in the home that the parents are paying the mortgage, in the home where the parents are paying the utilities, the gas and the power, in the home where the parents are paying for the food that goes on the table, it's not a good policy to try to set your own course. It's still always the best policy to conform to the game plan of those who created you, those who built your surroundings, those upon whose support you depend every day for your shelter, for your maintenance, for your education. It's always the best course to tuck under the shelter of those who love you and those who have been around longer, who have more wisdom, more experience. And if truth be said, they have your best interests more at heart than you do yourself. In all of this, Gajendra did not agonize. He did not beat his fist against his head. He did not cry out. He did not lament. He did not moan and groan. He did not have a pity party. He recognized the remote cause was Krishna. He recognized that he was getting too far astray, that he had drifted too far from the shore, the solid ground, the reality of Krishna consciousness. He'd been pulled by the riptide of Maya, and he was in danger of being lost at sea. And so he recognized that the appearance of the crocodile was not meant to undo him. Rather, it is a setup on the part of the Lord to bring him back to home, back to shore, back to reason, back to the purpose, to remind him of the purpose for which he's created. Indeed, in his past life, in the human form of King Indraduma, he had almost achieved Krishna consciousness. He had gotten just a tick away from pure devotional service, but for reasons of his own, the Lord caused him to take another birth as an elephant. He had certain things to work out. He still had a little bit of purification to go. But perhaps even more importantly, his story is extremely instructive for all of us. The story of Gajendra has been poeticized, it's been sung about, it's been heralded for thousands and thousands of years. We're on our 78th 45-minute section, learning, pulling out, squeezing the nectar from the instructional story of Gajendra. And we're not even done. We haven't even begun. We haven't even touched the surface. So aside from this and that and the other cause, there is the ultimate cause that the Lord sometimes, even for pure devotees, even those who are blameless, even those who have not made any offenses, still the Lord will cause them to be unfairly cursed. It happened with Brikasura. It happened with Parikit. It's not uncommon. It's a procedure. It's a modus operandus that the Lord uses to instruct us, at the same time to spotlight, to show off his devotees. You can imagine the Lord, you can imagine the Lord carrying the pictures in his wallet, the pictures of Prahlad Maharaj, whose father tried to kill him, pictures of Gajendra, whose leg was bitten by the crocodile, but who didn't play the game, pictures of Parikit, who got cursed to die within 7 days, who didn't point the finger at his cursor, but rather rejoiced that the Lord had given him 7 days with which to prepare for death. Over and over and over again. In no story about any devotee do you find the devotee feeling sorry for themselves or blaming anyone else, that if it had not been for so and so and such, I would still be king of the hill. I would still be the cat's meow. I would still be living in that house, enjoying that wife, spending that money, reaping influence and fame. No, every single bona fide, tried and true devotee worthy of the title is willing and eager to drop everything and absorb themselves in Krishna consciousness at the last stage of their lives. So it's interesting that though the crocodile latched on savagely, latched onto Gajendra, caused incredible amount of pain. There was blood in the water. The waters were turning red. Gajendra was humiliated right in front of his wives, right in front of the other elephants, and right in front of his children. He has to undergo the humiliation of not being able to shake this pesky crocodile from his leg. Not only that, but being pulled gradually, gradually. It's said that the struggle went on for 1,000 years by the calculation of the demigod. And the whole course is downward for Gajendra, downward, bit by bit by bit by bit, by, devoid of his fabled strength. At the end of his rope's length, Gajendra's hopes turned to the Lord, who awards protection to his devotees. Ultimately, he stopped pulling his leg, which a croc wanted to devour, and he plucked a lotus flower from the muck of the lake and offered it, seeking the Lord's power. He saw the remote cause as the real cause, the cause of the Lord arranging things in his favor, positioning himself to become glorified, to go to the next level. Part of that is recognizing, first of all, that this is not anyone's fault. It is the arrangement of the Lord. And if I am to assign blame, if I am to assign fault, then let me assign it to myself. This is my own karma. It is me alone who is responsible for the things that befall me and no one else. What goes around, what comes around. If you're going to dance, you got to pay the band. As you sow, so you shall reap. And as soon as you surrender, as soon as you become peaceful, go to that place of peace in your heart and accept responsibility for the reactions that are coming upon you, that's the exact moment when, in fact, it no longer is karma. That's the exact moment when it is instructional, when it is exactly under the Lord's control. We shape ourselves, the joys and fears of which the coming life is made, and fill our future's atmosphere with sunshine over shade. The tissue of life to be, we weave in colors all our own. In the field of destiny, we reap where we have sown. Karma's action and reaction. You sow the seed, you face the deed. Whatever you do comes back to you. Law of cause and effect ensures the balance is perfect, detecting whatever you do, good and bad, it will resurrect. Death is not the end, it's just a bend. Whatever you've done will circle back again. The body may die, but your karma is standing by. You'll be reborn to live and die, continue to suffer and cry. As the aroma follows the flower, as heat pursues the fire, your karma will track you as soon as you leave the funeral pyre. Karma decides how you'll be reborn, comely or scorned, high or humiliated, straight or deformed, healthy or ill, long or short-lived, animal or human, sheltered or adrift. Karma is what causes the world to go round. It's cause and effect right down there in the ground for those going over and around, up and down, bound by their deeds, drowned by their needs. Is there any purpose to our life on earth? We just die and continue to take birth? Is there any escape from the pain of coming back again and again and again and again? Yeah, because you're not the flesh, you're not the mind, you're eternal spirit design in the image of Almighty Divine, assigned to a service sublime, attracted by unselfish action, serving the Lord with dispassion, acting only for his satisfaction. Devoted souls achieve extraction from karmic reaction. If you want to burn up your karma, practice the Dharma, pleasing the Lord, fashioned by his hand, act according to his plan, and never, ever, ever, ever come back to this material world again. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do shape ourselves the joys and fears of which the coming life is made, and fill our future's atmosphere with sunshine over shade. The tissue of life to be, we weave in colors all around. In the field of destiny, we reap waves. So only when we come to the full acceptance, it's on me. Nobody did this to me, least of all Krishna. This is what Vasudeva said to Kamsa. Kamsa was maddened by the thought he couldn't get past the prediction that the eighth son of his sister would kill him. And he was so attached to his body that he moved heaven and earth to try to avoid that which was preordained by God. He killed one after another the first six sons of Devaki, and then he tried to kill the seventh son. Well, the seventh was declared as a miscarriage, and when he came to kill the eighth child of Devaki, who was predicted to be a boy, there was a girl there, and Kamsa didn't know it, but the girl Yogamaya had been switched from the bed of Yashoda to the prison house of Kamsa, and Krishna had been taken under the cover of night to the bed of Yashoda and placed beside her where she lay unconscious after having given birth. So here's Kamsa come to kill the eighth son of Devaki. He's already killed six sons already, and he sees, lo and behold, a girl. He figures, well, maybe the prediction got it wrong. Maybe a girl's supposed to. So he took the little baby newborn girl by the legs to smash her against a pillar as he'd done to the previous children, and she wrested herself out of his grasp, flew up in the sky, and said, "Ah, Kamsa, the one who's killed you has already been born and moved somewhere safe." At this point, Kamsa's getting the message that he's not there's nothing he can do to thwart this prediction. He is going to die by the hand of the eighth son of Devaki. And he figures, why fight it? I mean, I've still got a few years left. Let me enjoy them. Let me take it as a blessing that I know approximately when I'm going to die. I know how I'm going to die. That's good. That's a good thing. Look at Parikshit. Parikshit rejoiced when he got all that extra information. It's not something that most people have access to. But no, Kamsa, well, so what happened was then Vasudeva, Kamsa's all down and depressed, frustrated because he didn't get his way. Things didn't go as he had planned them. And Vasudeva tells him the essence of, the whole secret behind action and reaction. Sokha, harsha, bhayadvesha. Sokha means lamentation. Harsha means jubilation. Sometimes we're down and depressed. Sometimes we're giddy and euphoric. Bhayadveshta, fearful. This body which can be killed in 51 million ways. It's very understandably that if we're trying to protect this body, we're going to be fearful because its demise could come at any moment in any one of 50 million different ways. Dveshta, we're envious of those who have a higher position in the material world than we do. Lobha, we're greedy. Moha, we're subject to illusion. Madha, we're mad. And because of all these negative emotions which flow in when there's an absence of God-centeredness, when one hasn't got the vision of seeing God as the ultimate cause, the cause of all causes, that behind these direct causes, there is a remote cause, which is one. There may be many, many immediate causes, but there's one remote cause, and that is Sarvakaranam, the supreme controller, Krishna. But rather than penetrating the illusion of the phenomena of this material world, one becomes caught up in all of the words and phrases and names of this material world, the result of which people are engaged in killing themselves wholesale. Wholesale slaughter is going on in this material world because of fear, lamentation, envy, greed, illusion, and madness. Look at the recent events, October 7th, just barbaric, unconscionable slaughter. And then in retaliation, 25,000 or so civilians killed. It's a slaughterhouse. Sometimes we used to think that in the 70s and 80s, when Prabhupada referred to this material world as a slaughterhouse, sometimes we might thought that he was overstating the case, but who would doubt it now? The Russians are slaughtering the Ukrainians. The Palestinians, the Hamas slaughtered the Israelis. The Israelis are practically slaughtering them. And in fact, the charter of Hamas, as you well know, the reason for Hamas existing as stated in their own charter is to kill as many Jews as possible. Why? Why? Well, the Jews did this and the Jews did that and the Jews did that. The solution to all this confusion and all this madness is simply to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and gradually cure the cloudiness, clear the waters, take the dust of anger, envy, greed, madness from the heart, so we can see Krishna wants the best for us. If we accept responsibility for our own actions and reactions, that is the launching point. That is the starting point for giving up all difference of opinion, all enmity, all anger, all violence towards other living beings. Prabhupada says as much here in the translation to this purport, this bit of wonderful, priceless advice that Vasudeva gave to Kamsa. This is what Vasudeva says to Kamsa. Persons with the vision of differentiation, in other words, Kamsa and his ilk, are imbued with the material qualities, lamentation, jubilation, fear, envy, greed, illusion, and madness, influenced by the immediate cause. They're always busy trying to counteract the immediate cause because they have no knowledge of the remote supreme cause, the personality of Godhead. Prabhupada gives this example in the purport. When an expert physician treats a patient, he tries to find the original cause of the disease and not is diverted by the symptoms of the original cause. Now, this is Vasudeva is the physician. He's in his consultation room. Kamsa is the patient, and Vasudeva is telling it like it is. Enechi ushodi maya nashi bhare lage. The real cause of our suffering, of our anxiety, of our fear, of our tension, is that we've forgotten Krishna as the remote cause. Therefore, the medicine which will directly address the original cause of all of our problems is to remember Krishna. And the best way to remember Krishna, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhukaranai Shravanadi Sudhachittikari Odai, is to chant Krishna's names. He's already seated within the heart. And when he notices that you're paying some attention to him, that you're trying to understand things through his lens and not independently, then he guides you step by step. He illuminates your heart from within. And he causes you to come to the point of seeing the Lord's hand as the ultimate cause of all causes. This is the advice that Vasudeva is giving to Kamsa. Kamsa is very receptive at this point in time because he's frankly at his wit's end. He's tried everything to avoid his fate, and he's failed. So he's pretty receptive. He actually embraces this teaching for the time being. This very teaching, we might note as well, is what reconciled Vasudeva and Devaki to the loss of their 6 sons at childbirth. Imagine being in prison, not seeing the light of day for years and years on end, depressing, no windows, prison food, very little exercise. And as if that wasn't bad enough, you have a child, something to bring a light into the prison, something to occupy yourselves other than staring at 4 walls and bars 24 hours a day. You have a child, and as soon as news of that child's birth comes to Kamsa, he rushes to the prison, and in front of your very eyes, he dashes that child. He smashes that newborn child against a pillar. How horrible. And this happens 6 times over and over and over again. There are many things that happen to us in life. Like if you're an Israeli that lost a son or a daughter or a grandparent in the barbarous attacks of October 7th, you cannot understand how this happens. You cannot understand how it's not part of the Lord's plan, but you cannot understand how God allows these things to happen. And if you're a Palestinian who doesn't necessarily support Hamas, and you've lost family members in the bombing, it is not possible for the mind to reconcile itself directly through factual experiential information with what's happening. There are many parts of our lives. There are many rooms of our lives. There are many seasons of our lives where things happen that are just way beyond our capability of understanding. Therefore, we should not try to understand. We should not call God to account. God is not obligated to explain to us why he allows what he allows. After all, his original advice was not to come to this material world in the first place. We disregarded that. We came here, and now we go crying to the Lord because of things that are unfair, because of things that we don't understand, because we don't comprehend how God allowed this to happen, how a loving, warm, compassionate God allowed this to happen. Well, he showed his compassion, he showed his concern by encouraging us not to come here in the first place. He came here along with us as the paramount within our heart. He continued to reach out to us through scriptures and through the examples of holy men and saintly men, but we didn't care to listen to him. We wanted to go our own way. We've been doing it for thousands and thousands of births and thousands of pieces of life. And when we come into a situation like Gajendra, where our sense gratification is curtailed, where our life, our happiness, our family are all at risk of being ripped away from us, then we ask, how can God allow this to happen? Hello, how out of touch, how out of sync can you possibly be? There's no way Vasudeva and Devaki could, by reasoning, reconcile themselves to living in prison for a decade, for having their newborn child's heads bashed against a pillar right after birth by her brother, no less. There's no way. Only recourse which is available is to trust the Lord when you don't understand, to trust the Lord even when you don't see a way. When it looks dark, when you're in the prison house, when your newborn babies are dying, you have to still assert, remind yourself that Krishna is still on the throne. He knows what he's doing. It's a fact that although unbeknownst to Vasudeva and Devaki at the time, later on they get their sons back. And the whole story is revealed. Their sons being killed at childbirth was part of a greater plan. It was part of their own sons' karma from a previous life. It was a blessing, actually, that they didn't live a sustained period of time in mortal bodies in this material world. And no sooner did they see the light of day, then Kamsa killed them and they went back to their heavenly positions. The ways of Krishna may twist and turn my heart, what is it? Krishna's plans may twist and turn my heart. What is it? Krishna's plans may twist and turn. Though Krishna's plans may twist and turn, Krishna's ways may twist and turn, my heart may throb and ache, but my soul has no concern, because the Lord makes no mistake. My sacred plans may go astray, my hopes may fade away, but I will still trust in the Lord, because he knows the way. Though the night be dark and the light take forever to break, I'm going to go along with the Lord, because he makes no mistake. There's so much I cannot see, my eyesight far too dim. Who am I to disagree? I'm going to go along with him. By and by, the mist will lift and the foggy night will fade and the rising sun will make it plain he made not one mistake. My life is but a weaving between my Lord and me. I cannot choose the colors, but he worketh steadily. He often weaves sorrow, and I in foolish pride forget he sees the upper and I the underside. And not until the loom falls silent and the shuttle ceases to fly will Krishna unroll the canvas and reveal the reasons why. Well, Kamsa even at this moment, due to frustration, due to coming to his wit's end, he has got a bit of peace. from the words of Devaki and Vasudeva. Devaki and Vasudeva have got a little peace by hearing their advice to Kamsa. So right now, everything's kind of idyllic. There's a little respite in all the turmoil. There's a lull right in the middle of the story. We're in the eye of the hurricane, you might speak. The problem is that Kamsa goes back to his palace. He tells his cronies, I'm giving up this, it's not worth it. I've got a few more years to live. I'm going to live them in peace. I'm going to trust the Lord. I'm not going to commit all these crimes. I'm not going to have nightmares at night. I'm not going to see Krishna. I'm not going to look in the mirror and see my head missing. I'm not going to continue to suffer in this way. I'm going to enjoy my life. And when it's time to leave this body, I'll leave this body. No one can live forever anyway. But when his cronies, who actually benefit from Kamsa being all uptight and maddened and full of lust and everything, who themselves are materialists and they're kind of parasitic, they're sucking the blood of Kamsa. They look at each other. There's an unspoken message that goes between them. They're thinking, well, we can't, if Kamsa becomes wise, if Kamsa becomes saintly, if Kamsa becomes peaceful, then our gravy train is over. So they then get Kamsa back into his inflamed, terrified, greedy, lusty, maddened state. This is the advice, the crooked advice. And under the circumstances, it's not bad advice. But when you classify Krishna consciousness as a disease, and when you call the devotees your enemy, that's taking good advice and putting it out of context. Here we find this verse in the 38th. It's the 38th verse of the 4th chapter, the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The so-called advisors, so-called friends of Kamsa say, Yata mayo anga shamopeksha nirbir, nasakite ruda padaschiti chitam, yatendra grama peksha dashtata, rupun mahan balo balam nacharyate. They say, as a disease, you cannot neglect a disease. You have to take care of the disease. The first sign of congestion in the head, first sign of a headache, first sign of a sore throat, you start taking something. A lot of orange juice, a lot of sunshine, a lot of vitamin C. You take some herbal, oregano is good. Yeah, herbal spray into your nostrils. You take something to counteract the infection in your throat. You pull out all the stops to try to counteract the disease. And if you neglect the disease, then it becomes worse and worse and worse and worse. Sometimes people die because they neglected disease. When I was a small kid and I would get a little splinter, and I would say, oh, it's nothing. I'll take care of it later. My mother would say, no, get the tweezers. We have to take care of it now. And she told the story of some son of Calvin Coolidge, a president of the United States, who got a little splinter in his foot, and he didn't take care of it. And in those days, they didn't know so much about septicism and germs. He died. He died as a result of complications proceeding from a little splinter in his foot that he neglected. So my mother would always say, you don't want to be like Calvin Coolidge's son. Take care of that right now. Kamsa's advisors, Kamsa's friends, tell him that as a disease, if neglected, becomes acute and life-threatening, which is true if you're talking about your actual enemies, those who actually wish to do you harm. The problem is here they're talking about your best friend, Krishna and Krishna's devotees, and they're comparing them to a disease. Sanisha sarvati yasham jagati sanisha vashara. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that for the non-devotees, that which is actually light for the devotees is darkness. And that which is darkness for the devotees is light for the non-devotees. So that which is actually good for them, the non-devotees see as a disease. And that which is actually bad for them, they see that as the medicine. So there's three examples. The first of which is if you neglect a disease, it will become life-threatening. The second example, the senses. And this is great advice coming from the demons, whom themselves are sense gratifiers. They're actually inciting Kamsa to get all worked up and bothered once again, because Kamsa's being peaceful and self-controlled and going on the side of the sages threatens to curtail their sense gratification. So what hypocrisy then, that in order to preserve their sense gratification, they give this second example, which is that the senses, if not controlled at first, are impossible to control later. Very good advice. Very good advice for all people under all circumstances. If you want to mitigate the miseries of material life, the first step is to regulate and control the senses. But considering who it's coming from and the context, the purpose for which this is misquoted, it's totally unacceptable. It's totally this is the essence of hypocrisy, that the sense gratifications are giving this example. They are not at all interested in controlling their senses, but they're using this example out of context to incite Kamsa to try to kill the well-wishing devotees of the Lord. And then the last example is an enemy. You may defeat an enemy in battle, but if you let them go and regroup and come back at you, they may defeat you the next time. If you show mercy, then it's possible that can come and bite you in the future. And so therefore, as a disease has to be eradicated completely, as the senses should be controlled, similarly, an enemy should completely be destroyed and not allowed to regroup and come back. There's actually another example given in a shloka by Chanakya Pandit. Smokey the Bear would agree with this. He said, put your forest fire out thoroughly. Don't leave a single spark. Don't leave a single ember. Put water on your fire, spread it out, and put water on the fire again, then put dirt over it. Because if you leave a single ember, it may rekindle, it may reignite, it burn down the whole forest. So this is Kamsa goes back and he gets this twisted advice from his inner circle, and then he starts sending wizards and killers and murderers to Vrindavan, Aghasura and Putana, Brakasura and others, to continue in his campaign to kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, when one starts to distract oneself in 50 different directions to counteract all of the immediate causes of one's discomfort and frustration, that's when Krishna clouds the inner. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya. The Lord has various illusory energies. He has the yoga maya illusory energy, by which one sees Krishna as one supreme lovable object. One loves and one enhances one's affection for Krishna, one's service attitude for Krishna moves forward by leaps and bounds. One comes to the point of seeing everything as Krishna's mercy. Tatenu kampam shishamikshamanam bunjane vatmakritamri babhura jiveta yo mukti pada sadaya bhak. One has reached the highest point, the highest mental level of devotional service, when no matter what miseries, pains, enemies, betrayals are inflicted upon one thanks Krishna in all of that, thinking that Krishna is just giving me a token of what I deserve. If I were to get the full measure of what I deserved, the full portion of karmic reaction, it would be much, much, much worse. So no matter what befalls one, the tried and true devotee of the Lord responds by thanking the Lord from the core of his heart. Such a person, Jiveti yo mukti pada sadaya, is already liberated, even while in a material body, even while being a father or a mother or a child or a king or a businessman. They are not considered to be on the same level as ordinary living beings. Even now, even while in this material body, as a householder, as a businessman, they are liberated souls walking amongst us. Like that. Example is given that if a fool gets hit on the head with a bottle, maybe he's out in a bar, he says something he shouldn't say, and someone picks up a beer bottle and smashes him over the head. So it would be a fool who would blame the bottle, isn't it? Wouldn't it be a fool that blames the bottle? Tries to sue Budweiser, goes to the Budweiser factory, tries to enter in and create havoc there among their operations, or goes postal at the Bud Brewery. And we did Festival of Colors, and we stayed at a motel up there in Van Nuys. We were right across the street from the Super 8, a huge Budweiser factory. You smell the hops in the air all the time. It's not the bottle to blame, it's the hand moving the bottle. Similarly, it's not the immediate cause, but it's Krishna's the hand. Krishna's the hand that's administering the reactions. Krishna's on his throne. He has his best intention for our lives. So we're like someone that we're getting hit by one bottle, and we're getting hit by another bottle, and we're getting hit straight ahead by a bottle, we're getting hit behind by a bottle, and we don't see the hand, we just see the bottles. The hand is our past karma by the arrangement of the Lord. As I mentioned, so many devotees, so many instances of devotees accepting what is extremely inscrutable, accepting situations that the mind simply has not the capacity, does not have the breadth, the mind, the individual tiny pea-like brain that we have, the consciousness that goes with it. It cannot even begin to fathom the vastness of the Lord's intellect, the vastness of the Lord's plan. So the only option we have is just to accept it with a smile. And the faith that whatever is the outcome, if I stay in faith, keep chanting, I'll come out better off than I was before. The Lord moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. He plants his footstep on the sea and rides upon the storm. Deep and unfathomable minds of never-failing skill, he treasures up his bright designs and works his never-failing will. Ye fearful saints, fresh courage take, the clouds you so much dread are full with mercy and will break with blessings on your head. Judge not the Lord by feeble sense, but trust him for his grace. Behind a frowning providence, he hides a smiling face. His purposes will ripen fast, unfolding every hour. The bud may have a bitter taste, but sweet, 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 sweet will be the flower. We'll talk more on this topic in the future. It's crucial, it's pivotal to our being successful in Krishna consciousness. It's modeled by so many devotees in so many inspiring and exemplary ways that we can hardly just leave this topic with one session. However, we're not due to be together again until Motivational Monday, so we'll have to leave you where we are for the time being. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's see who we have and what we have in terms of comments and feedback. Brent, Spencer, Haribol, Vaibhavi, thumbs up. The Queen of Comments is with us today. Anjali says, Dhanyavats, Caru Postman, and Vaibhavi Mataji. Anjali says, Gajendra did not beat his fist against his head. He recognized the remote cause with Krishna. True, yes. Brent, don't be sour because of the force of a higher power. Natural laws fix our flaws. Nice, nice. Don't be sour because of the force of a higher power. Natural laws fix our flaws. Very good. Natasha, Hare Krishna. Nice that you could join us this morning. And Sundari Priya, please accept my obeisances, glories to Prabhupada. Priya Krishnadas has been with us from New York all 3 days this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Glories to Prabhupada. Namamrita also has been with us for every session this week. Brent's back with another rhyme here. Don't play the blame game. Be eager to absorb yourself in the holy name. Don't play the blame game. Be eager to absorb yourself in the holy name. And furthermore, Brent writes, don't fight your plight. It will be all right. Krishna's in control. He'll make it whole. I'm keeping all these indexed so that they will appear in a full-fledged rap song poem in the future. Anjali, well, he showed his compassion, he showed his concern, while when our sense satisfaction is curtailed. Lakshmi Nisringa, I haven't seen you here with us for a long time. Nice that you could drop in here. Krishna doesn't do things to me, he does things for me. Exactly. Exactly what we're trying to say. Bingo. Brent, once again, this is his fourth offering, I think, today. The physician sees the cause of the disease, find the cure by chanting and not ranting. The physician sees the cause of the disease, find the cure by chanting and not ranting. And here comes Natasha. Natasha. In hearts clouded by anger, sadness, and pain, where violence and sorrow like storms reign, we've strayed from the path, lost Krishna's grace. In the tumult of life, his name we misplace. Beautiful. Once again, in hearts clouded by anger, sadness, and pain, where violence and sorrow like storms reign, we've strayed from the path, lost Krishna's grace. In the tumult of life, his name we misplace. That's the result. Stray from the path of Krishna's grace, and you enter a world of violence and sorrow and incomprehensibility. Along with the violence and the sorrow, I mean, we're children of God. We're parts and parts of a loving God. We're sons and daughters. We're all of the same family. How can we understand that the Hamas wants to eradicate, kill every? How can we understand that? There's a temptation, irresistible, that if you're not God conscious, to blame God for that and say, how can God let such a ghastly, unconscionable state of mind occur on a mass level? This is not just one, two raving mad lunatics. These are millions of people who believe that another ethnicity should be exterminated down to every last woman, man, and child. How can the brain? You have to become Krishna conscious, folks. It's not optional. If you want to be above the madness, then please, we're begging you, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There's more here. Anjali says, I trust the Lord, but how can I tell what is my better point of action in the middle of turmoil? Devaki and Vasudeva knew to continue staying in prison and the cells open in due time. However, Arjuna asked, because he was bewildered, only after Bhagavad Gita did he remember what was his role. So we have to chant and listen to the Bhagavad Gita, take advantage of all the wonderful, insightful narratives given by great saints and sages. Nowadays, with YouTube, with Zoom, podcasts, we can listen to Gauranga, we can listen to Amarendra, we can listen to Chaitanya Charan, we can listen to Charudas. Not that I'm on the level of any of those people, but everybody has their own insights. And you'll have to find people that relieve you, that help you eradicate the darkness from the mind. We're not meant to be influenced by the Kali Yuga. Rather, we're meant to take in so much light and so much knowledge and so much insight that we push back, that our light defeats the darkness of Kali Yuga wherever we go, with respect to whomsoever we meet. We're getting a lot here. I might get something out of this. I might get a full song. Here's Natasha and Kamsa's anger, a symbol of our own inner fight. Vasudev's calm, a beacon in the night, reminding us all in times of despair, Krishna's love is our solace, always there. Wonderful. Kamsa's anger, a symbol of our own inner light. Vasudev's calm, a beacon in the night, reminding us all in times of despair, Krishna's love is our solace, already there. Wow, Natasha's coming through today. Anjali says, if you neglect the disease, it becomes worse and worse. She gives the quote. You got the, take the quote. Yeah, the enemies that are, the examples that are given, cure the disease immediately, curtail the sense gratification, and annihilate your enemies. Let's see now. Anjali says Hamas and IDF both are heartless to cause this genocide, just like Americans and indigenous Indians. Yeah, think about how thoughtlessly people sit down to their dinner of a mother cow or a lamb or a chicken. We are the living graves of murdered beasts, slaughtered to satisfy appetites. We never pause to wonder or feast if animals like humans have rights. We pray on Sundays and we have light to guide our footsteps on the path of light. We're sick of war, we don't want to fight, and yet we gorge ourselves on the dead. Like carrion crow, we live and feed on meat, considering the pain and suffering we cause. If thus we treat defenseless animals for sport or gain, how can we hope to attain the peace we are so anxious for? Wow, lot of creativity today. Let's punctuate. Let's let Rob here have the last say. He's the one that originated all this wonderful poetry and rhyming. So let's go to the maestro here. You have anything for us, Rob?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. There's a lot of good stuff there today.
Really?
I especially like Brent's one-liners.
Really hit the nail on the head, if I may say so.
Okay. When put to the test, a devotee gives their best.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cower, seek Krishna's power.
Nice.
When things are materially the worst, strive to spiritually reinforce.
Mm-hmm.
Don't while away the time, life can stop on a dime. Don't rage and rant, just chant, chant, chant.
Don't rage and rant, just chant, chant, chant.
To give attachment pause, address the root cause.
Yes, yes.
We can't understand God's plan.
Short and sweet.
In Krishna, put your trust. He is always with us. To see what it's all about, take a divine zoom out. Or, excuse me, to see what it's all about takes a divine zoom out.
Yep.
And
Get a more expansive perspective.
address the disease. Don't do as you please.
Nice. Thank you. Please send all those to me. I'm gonna pull all this off to the side and put in a Word document and see if we can put a theme to it, put a thread to it, put a sequence to it, see what we can come up with. But thank you all very much. We, in any case, we'll index all these different rhymes and poems and keep them for future use. This has been Wisdom Wednesday. Thank you for being with me. We'll look forward to seeing you again for Motivational Monday next week when we talk more about how not to play the blame game. What was it Lakshmi said? Lakshmi said, what was it? Lakshmi. Oh, here it is. Krishna doesn't do things to me. Krishna does things for me. More on that next week. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama.